Happy birthday, Scorpio. The sun's ingress into the sign of Scorpio is a birthday blessing for the Scorpion. Now, the sign of Scorpio is the natural 8th house of birth, sex, death, and debt. And this is going to affect everyone in their natural 8th house. Therefore, knowing what planet your natal chart shows was present in your 8th house at the time of your birth, as well as current planetary placements, is this zodiac house that gives you a heads up on what you can expect from the archangel of the sun, that is Michael, who is prince of the angelic hosts. Michael entering into this natural 8th house, again the realm of the zodiac sign of Scorpio, what it causes is the angel Barchiel to be able to have more power and hold more sway over the inhabitants of that realm, the lesser angels, all the way down through the 4 worlds, even to the world where the humans and the realms below human, which are the demons, reside. So this is a hierarchy, and everybody's included in the hierarchy. There's those that are above and those that are below. However, Kether is in Malkuth and Malkuth is in Kether. It's very similar to the yin and yang symbol, where there's some yang in the yin symbol and a point of yin in the yang symbol. So there's a similarity there. All right, now this gives you the ability to be very creative. Again, it might be intense, but it's very creative when it comes to your most vital life issues, relationships, and career choices, bringing out your true inner self that you may consider to be your weak spot, but in all reality proves to be your most cultivated inner strength. Your future is assured when the sun transits the sign of Scorpio, the Scorpion. You desire to give and bestow and provide in abundance, in a cornucopia, your potent magical current or life force, however you wish to define it. Now, as you do begin to reinvent yourself, you begin to move towards a healing of your inner child and a caring for those who display loyalty to you no matter any professed differences of politics, religion, race, or creed. Ultimately, all creatures seek the same thing, being homeostasis, progressing through graduated and gradated preset organizations, which are actually all within. They're all within the seeker. They're all within the self. So remember, these things are always within you. Whether you're an adept or a magus, one has to really at least reach adepthood, for one to be able to actually do ceremonial magic. And every system of magic has its own degree system, and the tradition will release its energy to you when you become proficient enough and disciplined enough, and when you get into those realms. Because where are those realms? They're within yourself. They're not up to anybody else. Finding those realms is not up to other people to grant you any kind of degree. It's actually a degree you find within yourself, as is immortality. Immortality and resurrection are things you find within yourself. Now, ultimately, all creatures seek the same thing, and that being homeostasis, progressing again in a way that will make them feel that they have reached some kind of inner peace. That's what the homeostasis is about. They want to find, and they're seeking an inner peace, an inner contentment. Thus, the spiritual body, your spiritual body is then built. It's your body of light that's honed, and its organs of perception made ready for eternal bestowal, which emanates light meant to fill every dark space. Fantastic prospects for great victory in your chosen profession are coming your way right at this very moment, because you have performed the tasks essential for making your dreams come true, bringing them from the realm of all potential morphogenic field into the now fifth dimensional reality, in which we all collectively find ourselves being a one world soul. And that's what it's about. When the soul becomes once again rejoined, tikkun olam, the rejoining of the worlds and the correction thereof. Now, faith in what you know to be true through your own experience is the most important focus during this sojourn of the sun to the sign of Scorpio. The future looks good for those who've been well prepared, those who have gotten themselves ready. So smile and let the games begin. Self-assurance in your own good horse sense and your own capabilities allows you to understand others, thus brightening their lives with your own distinctive and unique. Remember, you're distinct, you're unique. You're an individual, you're innovative, you're perceptive, and you need to be very judicious in your interpretations of how you see things. You seek to help people with the task of increasing their popularity through giving them a bird's eye view of how they fit into the grand scheme of things, making sure everyone is cared for and nourished spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, in order that a cheerful attitude is achievable now and also in the future. You comprehend that the mood of the general populace is the consequence of sustainable individuals whose lives are filled with meaning, organization, and purpose. You've got an alluring personality, and you don't shrink from a challenge, but rather find your best self when called upon to be strong. For those that haven't the benefit of your life experience, they're going to need it. They don't have your knowledge. They don't have your enduring spirit on tap. They don't have it firsthand. They can't understand how you might have such endurance or how you might have such fortitude. And so therefore you need to be an example and set an example for everyone you come into contact with. Friends, family, and significant others alike are going to rely on you more now because of your take charge attitude that only becomes stronger when others show their weakness. And you need to do what you will, as Aleister Crowley aficionados say. When your esteem is in question, your self-esteem, and when you are concerned about your self-esteem and your confidence, you need to always hold others in high regard who show considerable daring. So don't be afraid to show appreciation. Don't be afraid to show admiration for people who you feel are courageous. And again, those who are dauntless. You don't need to be afraid to show that you care about someone. It's really okay. And in fact, it shows great strength. Also, you need to leave those insubstantial, scaredy cat types to wallow in their own pathetic antics. that are perpetrated by the lesser evils that are internally and eternally devised and manufactured by their duplicitous, self-serving wills. Now, intrigue is going to pop up a lot this month, so expect a lot of intrigue. And intrigue and mystique is your style in any situation, but especially when it comes to sort of the most close, intimate, and interpersonal relationships. You make friends easily, and you never have to be alone, but sometimes you take time out to be alone to get in touch with your own inner nature. It's very important for you. You don't like to be questioned or made to mind others, preferring instead to rule over what you consider to be your own sovereign existence. This transit of the Sun in Scorpio summons the lucky energies of the birthday gemstones we all adore to gaze upon as they emanate potent light frequencies of compelling hue, brightness, and color out of the distinctiveness of our own zodiacal facets, creating in us an ever livelier, ever more vigorous way of expressing ourselves, and we get in touch with angelic frequencies that are more sublime and really become the most supreme that you can ever hope to imagine. And you need to consider that, again, this is getting you in touch with your own inner child. And that's the what's called the babe in Keter. You're an original during the sojourn of Soul's current travels, generating innovative ideas that pique the imagination of everyone you come into contact with. And that's because you're teaching them how to work smarter rather than harder, so they don't feel like they have to go out and do hard labor all the time. Now, all this time, it's good to remember all the goals that you set for yourself in life. Remember to give yourself great gobs of credit for all the plans that you've manifested up till now, because you have done very well and you've achieved much. This is a time for taking stock in all the viscerally important areas, those really significant areas of your life, which become really extra important during this time and during this particular transit of Soul through Scorpio. Intrigue and mystery and intrigue is up right now. And that's going to continue through this transit. Nevertheless, it can be fun as well as free from treachery. It doesn't have to be something where people are being extremely cruel to each other. But it could be, so you have to just be aware of that. Now, it's all really up to you how you want to take it. It's all within. Remember, as within, so without. Adding plenty of good substantial vitamins is going to help. Paying special attention to getting plenty of minerals is important at this time. Be sure to check with people that are, either if you have a certified nutritionist or if you have a naturopath or even an allopathic physician. Check with your physician first, but it's good to try to give yourself a little bit of extra hydration and extra supplements at this time. Now, career is easy for you if you make sure to stick with the fundamentals without getting overly concerned about what others think of you. Now, one doesn't need to stray too far, though, from the known world. After all, there's plenty of adventure right now in your own hometown that you probably haven't explored yet. That's true. Local businesses have become very creative and tremendously creative. It's fantastic. Right now, it's an unbelievable time to take advantage of people that are interested and in other businesses that are interested in doing business with you. And that really up till now haven't been persuadable by all your charm. So this is a time when people are going to be more persuadable, so you should look into that. Okay, now to everything, remember, there is a season, as the good book says. So the amazing offers presented now might not be available in the future. So there's no time like the present. All right. During the sun's travels through the sign of the Scorpion, many people seek Scorpio out for ways to improve what others see as a rather humdrum existence. They might think it's boring, but you'll be pleasantly modest in your increases, but you'll be. That's because you want it to be safe. It's not that the steps that you can't take giant steps. It's just that you want to make sure that the steps you've taken are going to last, and that's why you're taking steps, not small and not baby, but modest steps. And you're trying to increase friendship and increase romance and increase the adulation people are going to have for you because of all your uniqueness when it comes to how you're able to scrutinize strategy plans in all that is noble, especially in businesses and in those types of organizations where that's the most important thing at this time. So when the sun transits through the realm of the natural 8th house of birth, sex, death, and debt, it's never too early or too late to do what you will, not what you want, and what you've decided to do that you've made long-term plans about. There's no time like the present because now is the only time when you can actually affect any change whatsoever or take a step towards any kind of achievement. People are more understandable during this transit if you first do what you need to do to understand them. And then they'll be more amenable to what you want them to. They'll be more persuadable. They'll be more understanding. That's what you want. But you've got to understand how they feel first. You've got to go in with the question, how are you today? How are you doing today? And how do you feel about what's going on with this very important thing in the world right now? Because if you don't know them personally, you can't say, how is your mother, brother, sister, father, cousin? You can't say that. But you can say, how do you feel about this important event taking place in the world right now? You can, at least start with something like that. That doesn't mean that the strong are going to be, fooled by that, but most people will be. So, when you go in, you got to go in with confidence into any endeavor, especially, again, in businesses and financial endeavors that you're going to be doing at this time. Now, people are going to be wanting to get into more fun, kind of carnival-like, avant-garde situations that are not only, what people not only can put up with, but also what they actually truly want and desire. And what they want to do is induce out of the world more entertaining experiences. That's what they want. And they want something that's going to leave a very savory taste in their mouth. They're going to want something that they feel is making them enjoy life to its fullest right in the moment. And skilled people are hard to come by, and they're in popular demand, especially at the moment when so many are overeager while simultaneously offering kind of rather underachiever mentalities. And that's towards everyone and everything, and there's a lot of social gaming going on. The social gaming is going to increase, especially during this transit. No one likes someone who's a smart aleck. But then, since they're usually pretty popular, smart alecks are popular though, and everyone puts up with them and their annoying remarks. Well, at least for a little while anyway. Okay, everyone gets along well though when you put your best foot forward and you kind of bring a friendlier attitude, because there's always those types that are going to wrap little nasties inside something sugary, sweet, and lovely. They're going to hide this sort of innuendo, kind of a faithless innuendo inside something sugary sweet to sort of tease out the ego or get the goat out of you. They're going to try to get your goat, and that's going to increase during this transit. The devil is none other than the egotistical man who thinks himself to be a good man. It's sort of a kind of self-righteousness. And there's also going to be a lot of that. Hypocrisy is sometimes the only way forward, because even though everyone says that they love the truth, no one actually wants to hear the truth. And you've all found that to be true. Does this really mean, though, that we should stop striving? Of course it doesn't mean that. But what we need to do is we need to proceed with great dignity and strength and loyalty to our primary goal. And this is the time that we need to sort of proceed with our most poised self. And that way you can put on your most alluring qualities that you've been saving up for special occasions. This is an important time and should always be used with the utmost perseverance and utmost character. You want to be at your best. This is an important time, and it should always be used with the utmost distinction. You gotta make yourself stand out in a crowd. But you've got to be poised. And even when you're out of control or fumbling, when you have your center, you're going to be respected, because that center then allows everything in the periphery to go out of control and be entertaining, but you've still got your center. And that's what's important. Because this way you're going to inspire others more and more. And you're going to influence people. You're going to win friends. And the fundamental skills, and these are even books you should get in your life. And everyone is looking for this type of thing when Scorpio is activated by the sun god Helios. A very boisterous personal agenda, holding a sacred covenant close to the heart of life, is most assuredly what attracts the best of the best who have life on a string, because they've developed their body of light and gained skills to perceive the upper worlds as well as the higher planes of existence through good use of their ability to see the auric field of any person, creature, or plant. For even, if you think about it, gemstones have auras. And you want to take those gemstones that you love so much and hold them very close to your heart, because it'll help during this time. A sharpening of the seeker's consciousness and gratitude for the physical 3D reality that we find ourselves in is necessary to activate all Sephiroth within the body, because the Sephiroth are just basically the chakras of the body. It's just a different culture. It's a different culture. There's very similar attributes, but chakras and Sephira are pretty much the same thing. You might always, want this or that amount of success or fame or fortune, but the point is, you need to be aware that these things you want so badly only occur in death. That's right. It happens in death, is what the angel of the Lord stated to me, Pastor Rosemary, when I inquired about how I shall attain my highest dreams, and now I share this important information with you. The reason for this is it's a deep subject, but it has to do with discipline, and it has to do with fitting into certain forms of rigid laws and structures. And this is how you can make your dreams come true, when you adhere to extremely strict moral, ethical, financial, and physical laws. And that's how we become truly successful. And that's why, terms like rigor mortis and liver mortis and all of that, these things are strict. And when you align yourself and you force your flesh to comply, then that's when the success is found. You don't have to be abusive to your flesh, but you need to discipline it in order to get it to do what you want it to do. All right? And so that's it for what the goal is, what you will, not what you want. Emanation from the projection of light extravaganza is what comes out. and it's an outpouring from your spiritual nature. And that'll be crucial when souls transiting through the sign ruled by the planet Mars and Pluto, with Scorpio, the Scorpio being the nighttime dwelling of the martial attributes, and when the Plutonian ones are more of the Sephira of the Ath. But regarding Mars, it's the Scorpio's the nighttime abode, influencing your willpower and your rebellious qualities of the Sun during this transit. And the Sun is related to Mars in the sense of will and willpower, and there's a different kind of willpower between Sun and Mars. However, the willpower is what is going to be brought forth during this transit. And there's going to be a lot of desires that people are going to have during this time for romantic experience, intense sexuality and social gaming of people known to be very, very perfidious competitors. Now, folks are going to want to bedazzle you during this transit. Therefore, all your groundwork needs to quickly handle suitors who have fallen into a most dire state of love with you. You might think this brings all manner of pleasantries, but quite the opposite is true. People often behave treacherously when Cupid's arrow pierces their strawberry tart hearts because they feel hurt, no matter what the original intention was meant to acquire. Creatures respond to this journey of the Sun, desiring an increase in influence according to their own vices and virtues. And we even have a video on that, about the Christian Zodiac. So you should watch it. It's a good video that represents the vices and virtues of each sign, which is taught in Rosicrucian Kabbalah. And these vices and virtues are going to be brought through, especially with Scorpio, the innovation, the originality, the invention, and the martial rebellion, the iron willpower, and the spiritual desire for the light of the Creator. Mars radiates the frequencies of the Archangel Samael and also the Archangel Kamael, is described in Kabbalah as being an angel that dispenses God's divine justice towards the state of humankind. Martial planetary angels are they that God appoints to stir up desires in the creature towards strength, combat, willpower, and supremacy according to Kabbalah, thereby allowing for fortification of new attainments and the push for ever higher achievements. Pluto radiates the frequencies of the Archangel Azrael and also called Azrael in the Zohar, where he receives the supplications of those souls who attain the heavenly realm of the abode of God, also having authority and command over many of the angels of God. The Rosicrucian Kabbalah assigns this martial aspect to the Sephira of Geburah and the god named Elohim Gibor, which contains the vision of the quality of the warrior king who has conquered his kingdom through the sheer force of his own self-discipline and his mighty willpower. The kind of willpower that present-day heroes fight for glory through their own personal righteousness amid sort of aimed at pleasing God, where the spirit of the Paraclete's brightness overcomes the darkness of the ego, which is Hasatan. Now, the most learned magi and adepts involved in Rosicrucian Kabbalah assign the Plutonian aspect usually to the Sephira of Da'ath. They usually do. And this is an invisible Sephira due to Pluto being the lord of the underworld, making his planet especially representative of the occult knowledge one finds in the Sephira of Da'ath, which means knowledge. It's not death, it's Da'ath. But there's a similarity. Because knowledge brings us to what? To death. Because sex is what? It was a curse. Birth, childbirth, and work are curses that God cursed humans with. So it's all a curse. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Now, the abyss is the usual nomenclature used for Da'ath, which is common knowledge among those involved in the magical community. This is where many chaos magicians glean their power from, since a roll of the dice occurs in this vortex. Random events occur here, with this Sephira acting as a portal to angelic realms, best understood through a thorough reading of the important book entitled Sefer Yetzirah, or Book of Creation, or Book of Formation, which gives previously hidden knowledge to the adept, acting as a significant resource as well as dispensing the more other worldly material that has been put into a written form, where you may derive what is termed to be forbidden knowledge. Remember that although Pluto continues to be included in the planetary array as our 9th planet, it was reduced in rank to the status of being a dwarf planet about 10 years ago. Some adepts assign Pluto to the Sephir of Chokmah, while others, influenced by Aleister Crowley, often place Pluto in the Sephir of Keter. Nevertheless, the vision into Ath is often seen by Kabbalists as being a great ladle used by God to scoop up the primordial soup of DNA, both physical and spiritual, with which he creates beings anew. He drinks it and processes it through his body as to become a brain cell, a heart cell, or whatever. So only those that agree to fall and take their rightful place to be what he created them to be are going to be in his kingdom and be in his eternal body and be created anew, because we're going to get new glorified bodies, and that's the point. All right, now, the card associated with Scorpio is Death. Okay, it's the Death card. And the Death card is a card that is associated with the Hebrew letter Nun, which means fish. Nevertheless, it's assigned to Scorpio. All right? So the tarot card, again, it's Death. Now, Death and Death are different words, but there's a similarity, because, again, knowledge was what caused death, right? It wasn't supposed to be painful. It wasn't supposed to be like that. When it comes to the Death card in tarot, everyone forgets to observe the horse that the Grim Reaper rides upon. This vital animal is healthy, obedient, and very much alive. He walks over anyone and everyone, relegating those without a developing or developed body of light. He relegates people who are on the path to oblivion, while those with phenomenal light bodies are released from the prison of flesh to ascend into the coveted realms of light, because they have a light body. That is their glorified body. They've been released from it, freed from prison by the Lord Jesus Christ. The sun, it allows for the mystique of the sun's resonance with the sign of the Scorpion as soul travels through the Zodiac. This is especially true since there is so much chatter all the time about Scorpio being the opponent of soul. You've heard this. The sun and Scorpio are opponents. Consider the relationship of Jesus Christ and John the Baptist to get to the heart of the matter. Death is the attribute that appears to betray life itself and the light from which it emanates. But it's only through the transformation of death that we allow our soul to fly to heavenly dimensions from where it originates. Here we locate the focal point at which the sun is balanced. To us it's everything, but it's a star, one of many. As well as we put it in balance with the other orbiting planets as well, where they're being drawn in towards the brilliance of soul. The beloved of God, the great mighty archangel Michael, who gives us the archangel, the planetary angel of the sun, who gives his light to welcoming individuals who are accessible, making everyone feel honored with their casual smile, not to mention charming disposition, heartily injected into everything they come into contact with, every situation, everyone, everything, every person, always friendliness. A smile and friendliness achieves much, if not all, during this transit with simple attention to detail. Progressing with reasonable determination through the light summoned by the intuitive actions that have been allowed to be expressed and performed well will grant additional and abundant amounts of opportunity for industry and private corporations during this transit of throws with the natural 8th house, where the new goals set are going to be handled by going ahead and handling your obstacles, and also being very good at maneuvering around obstacles. And that's the art of going with the flow. But this has to be adjusted to newly learned disciplines meant to keep everything and everyone in check. That's important. A little bit of self-confidence goes a long way during this time, but you have to bring a lot of your inner realizations to the inhabitants of the realm of the 8th house during this sojourn if you want it to be successful. Remember, that's visceral aspects of life: birth, sex, death, and debt. And that's the sign of Scorpio or Barchel. And the key here is that this is a time where you're either going to be born into the physical world or you're going to be born into the spiritual world. It's up to you. But it's either a birth through the mother or a spiritual birth through the masculine, through the father. Now, astrology, angel magic evocations are very important during this time if you really want to come into your full success. The evocation for the Sun in Scorpio, we have the planetary archangel correspondences for you. The Sun, again, Michael is the archangel. God the Sun, or the beloved of God. Frankincense is the incense. Clove. You can use citrine for a gemstone. You can use sunstone, ruby, yellow or orange diamond. The Hebrew letters Resh. The psalm is Psalm 119, verses 153 to 160. Ecclesiastes 11:7. The light is sweet, and it is delightful for the eyes to see the sun. Daniel 12:1 to 3. But at that time shall Michael rise up, the great prince, who standeth for the children of thy people. And a time shall come such as never was from the time that nations began, even until that time. And at that time shall thy people be saved, every one that shall be found written in the book. And many of those that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some unto everlasting, to life everlasting, and others unto reproach, to see it always. But they that are learned shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that instruct many to justice as stars for all eternity. Matthew 17:2, and he was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his garments became white as snow. Zodiac angel correspondences. We have Scorpio, we have Barchel as the zodiac angel. The tribe of Dan is the popular association for the tribe of Israel. Myrrh is the incense. You can also use dragon's blood. You can use nutmeg, clove, basil. Citrine is the gemstone. Nun is the Hebrew letter. You can also use the scripture, Psalm 119, verses 105 to 112. You can also use Genesis 49:16 to 18 for the tribe of Dan association correspondence, while some magi use the tribe of Manasseh for Scorpio's zodiacal association, as found in the book of Genesis, chapter 48. Another tribe sometimes attributed to the sign of Scorpio is Ephraim, also found in Genesis, chapter 48. Now, some adepts attribute Scorpio to the tribe of Gad, found in Genesis, chapter 49. It's good to note here that the signs of the zodiac are associated with the Hebrew lunisolar calendar, with Scorpio corresponding to the month of Chesvan. It's important to understand where these dates come from, where these associations come from. They're simply, something's not evil just because it comes from a different culture and is couched in a different language. Let's get real. For the tribe of Dan, popular association, recite Genesis 49:16-18. Dan shall judge his people like another tribe in Israel. Let Dan be a snake in the way, a serpent in the path that biteth the horse's heels, that his rider may fall backwards. I will look for thy salvation, O Lord. The adept should use the tribe of Israel correspondence that best represents his or her expression of fixed water for the invocation or evocation of the zodiac angel of Scorpio, who is Barchiel. Calls to the angelic realms should fill the adept sphere of sensation with the desired goal. The attribute is more important to be magically inspired than following any pre-prescribed instruction. The tradition provides necessary as well as welcome structure to any system of Rosicrucian high magic performed. The general biblical association for the general protection rite may be used at any time. This is Romans 6:22-23. But now, being made free from sin and become servants to God, you have your fruit unto sanctification and the end of life everlasting. For the wages of sin is death, but the grace of God, life everlasting in Christ Jesus our Lord. Remember that words have the power to heal, as sure as any other form of medicinal elixir, tincture, or treatment. Attain the immortal universal soul by fulfilling the needs of the other with the highest good possible at every moment of choice, and watch all other facets of your life bear fruit, such as the tree of life, most often associated with an olive tree, which is an actual constellation found in the heavens, mentioned in Revelation 22:2. In the midst of the street thereof, and on both sides of the river, was the tree of life, bearing 12 fruits, yielding its fruits every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of nations. A disclaimer is in order here. High magic can be dangerous. This is intended exclusively for entertainment purposes. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Join us again next time. We'll see you soon.